I would like to say that as a kid, I enjoyed watching Tom and Jerry. However, the channel that it was available on only showed during the daytime when I was at school. I kept asking my mother for DVDs of the show, but she refused my request, given the violent nature of the show. Over time, my house had gotten pretty messy. We had too many items of clothing and boxes of stuff that we mostly didn't need. My mom finally decided to clean out the house, having me help her out. We got through a majority of the rooms that had garbage bags full of stuff to donate, and we had one room left, the media room. While she cleaned off a desk, I attempted to clear out a closet, removing most of the clothing that revealed a stack of wooden boxes in the back of the closet. Curious, I opened the box, revealing a collection of VHS tapes. A lot of great movies were in the collection, from classic Disney movies to the Godfather trilogy to Gone with the Wind. I kept searching through the collection until I came across something that I would have never expected. A copy of Tom and Jerry's 50th birthday classics on VHS. Surprisingly, the copy was unopened, still in its original copy in plastic wrap. I asked my mom, "Hey, where did you get this from? I don't remember you buying this." My mom then got a shocked expression on her face and she hung her head. She proceeded to explain that it was a gift from my aunt that was supposed to be given to me on my 7th birthday. I asked why I didn't receive this gift. My mom then explained that shortly before my birthday, my aunt was involved in a robbery. She elaborated that 2 crackheads entered her home and started taking some of her belongings. My aunt woke up and noticed 2 men wearing sheets over their heads. The man ran up to her and beat her senseless. Her face was bloody and bruised, and she had a really hideous black eye. And there was even a claim that a lock of her hair had been ripped out. The men then forced her to lay down on her stomach and proceeded to behead her with a tactical axe. My aunt was discovered by my mother the next day, and she called the police. While she waited, she looked around the house for clues. On the kitchen table was a wrapped present. The tag indicated that the present was for me. Sure enough, that present was a Tom and Jerry VHS. My mom had kept it hidden from me until I had found it out for myself. I was absolutely horrified by this story, but I was happy that I was able to watch a cartoon that I'd been interested in for so long. We continued cleaning and had finally finished. Around 5:30 or so, my mother left to go on a date with a man who is now currently my stepfather. I knew she was staying overnight, and being an only child, I had some time to myself. I played my Xbox for a while, but I quickly became bored. Then I remembered my brand new VHS tape of Tom and Jerry. I opened the package and looked the tape out of the case. The tape was in mint condition with the original label and rewound to the very beginning. I popped the tape in and the FBI warning logo came up as normal. I watched the first episode on the tape and the nostalgia rush was intense. I hadn't watched the show very much as a kid and the network quit showing it a while ago. The video was rolling very smoothly and then in the middle of the second episode, the screen went black. A new title card then appeared. It had a gray background with the shadow of a guillotine and in red writing, it read, "Death of the French." I found this hilarious given my family's French descent, so I kept watching. It was a normal episode where Tom, Jerry, and Nibbles were musketeers. In the episode, the king has tasked Tom with keeping the noise down so that he could sleep, and the king said if Tom woke him up, he would have Tom sentenced to death. Tom gave a saluting gesture and the king went to sleep. The episode continued as usual, but something didn't seem right. I rewound the tape and looked closer. What I found was very disturbing. The violence was more detailed and gory than I ever remembered it. For example, there was a part where Tom used a knife to stop Jerry from running away by holding the knife on Jerry's tail. Instead of holding Jerry down, the knife completely chopped off Jerry's tail and blood started dripping out of it. It wasn't exactly gushing, but a trail of it was created as Jerry ran away. In the next shot, his tail was back to normal. Events like this happened with things like Tom's tail getting chopped off, Tom's eye being gouged out by a cork, and even Tom being split in half, showing photorealistic insides. At the end of the episode, the king is awoken and Tom is taken for execution. The next shot shows Jerry and Nibbles walking down an old-fashioned French street, eating sausages and cheeses, when they hear the sound of a crowd chanting. The camera goes to Jerry's point of view as he looks above at a guillotine. I was told by a friend that normally you only saw the blade come down and hear the sound of it banging against the wood. and then it would cut to the mice. However, this time, the blade didn't fall. Instead, the shot went to Tom being brought to the guillotine by 2 guards, and the king. The crowd kept yelling. I even heard phrases such as, "Kill him!" and "We want blood!" I could see Tom physically becoming enraged and started resisting the guards, kicking one of them in the knee. The crowd went insane, yelling even louder, and the king yelled, "End it! Do it now!" 2 men then appeared dressed as old-fashioned executioners, mask and all. They ran up to Tom and proceeded to beat him to the ground. Looking closer, you could see Tom's face bloody and bruised, and even a lock of hair had been pulled out. After a good beating, Tom was forced to lie down inside the guillotine and was immediately beheaded. His body was still visible while his head disappeared into a basket. Blood was realistically spewing from the neck. It started strong and then proceeded to just drip from the neck. The next shot was a close-up of Tom's bloody and beaten face in the basket. Tom's eyes were blinking for a few seconds as the camera zoomed out, but the blinking stopped. The short then cut to the mice, just like in the episode. Nibbles says, "Poor, poor pussycat," and him and Jerry continue eating and walking. The shot then went back to the guillotine, which now had blood all over its bottom. From the basket, a spirit of Tom was rising up. The figure was bleached white, and Tom's eyes were black and not blinking from what I saw. The spirit rose outside of the frame, and then the episode cut to static. The static lasted for a few seconds, and now the portion playing was from another episode in which Tom goes to heaven. Tom was still bleached white, and his eyes were still blank. It cut to the portion where Tom tries to sneak past a ticket collector. The ticket collector catches Tom and calls him out on the horrible things he had done to Jerry. The ticket collector says that if Tom doesn't receive forgiveness from Jerry, he'll go to hell. When the ticket collector said that Tom would go to hell, the ticket collector's voice turned very deep and demonic. The voice gave me chills just looking at it. The tape went black, and I could hear the sound of what might have been Tom asking Jerry for forgiveness, but sped up. I could hear the sound of a bell ringing very loudly, and then the voice of the tax collector saying, "I'm sorry, Tom." The image finally showed Tom falling down into a large pit. He was still bleached white, but this time his eyes were red with no pupils. Finally, Tom landed in a cauldron, and he does a very falsetto, spine-chilling scream. The devil, aka Spike the Bulldog with horns, starts laughing, but his original laugh was deepened and slowed down. The devil also used his prolonged end of his pitchfork to shove Tom deep into the cauldron. Instead of pushing Tom in, however, the pitchfork stabbed Tom, and all the holes created by the pitchfork were visible. Tom also appeared to have his skin progressively burned and peeled off, revealing realistic muscle and tissue underneath. I rewound the tape to the beginning and noticed that the episode started at 11:34. At this point, I had to stop the video. I immediately ejected the tape and placed it in its case. I placed a case on top of the desk in the media room. I had trouble sleeping that night, so I stayed up the rest of the night playing League of Legends, hoping that it would get my mind off the horrifying, child-ruining tape. At around 3 a.m., I attempted to sleep again and succeeded. The next day, I decided to find the tape so I could finish the footage just out of curiosity. I looked on the desk and around the media room, but I couldn't find it. I found out that my mom had donated the tape along with the others to a Goodwill store. I drove to the Goodwill, but it was already sold. It was sad that I had lost such a rare tape. Fortunately, I was able to distract myself with my video games and working on projects for school that I was safe from nightmares. However, my sleep cycle was severely disturbed for about 2 months. I was very tired and my grades dropped from A's to B's to C's. Normally, I wouldn't find something like this all that disturbing, but it was just very messed up and creepy how similar Tom's death was compared to my aunt's death. The fact that the episode was set in France, my family's country of origin, didn't help to suppress the memories. I still picture Tom's death in my head and get chills from it. My mom doesn't believe me, but I'm still hunting around from that tape. When I get it back, my mom will see the horror for herself.